This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
I truly love what she does, and she does it radically different than anybody I've ever met. So she is a wellness coach, but she is also using the power of astrology to help coach you and move your life forward. Beautiful combination because astrology is a science. So we kind of harness that individually based on your birth chart and simply your date of birth, location, time, and all of that. And then blend that with coaching for a wonderful outcome. Today, we're going to talk about self care connected to astrology with our professional of the year. Nancy Volante is back with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Steve. Glad to be here.
Self care, so important. I know that because I didn't do that. And I realized that that's what was missing. So now I try to practice it as much as possible. And self care can show up any way you want. Going for a walk, go for a massage, read a good book, take some time, whatever it might be. But what I'm hearing from you, Nancy, is that it's more important now than ever because of the eclipse season and the moon situation.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's really important right now, and it's always important. And I want to add to that. There's been times in my life where I haven't done self-care as well. And I just want to make that not a negative thing for us, but a place where another place where we can learn. Because if we don't feel that we're not taking self-care, how do we know that we need self-care in a sense? Do you know what I'm saying? So all that stuff is compost for the garden, if
Mm.
you will. So I think it's really important right now because of what we're going through collectively and personally. And I'm going to start off with collectively is that all these outer planets really shifted signs. Okay. And when they shift signs, they also shift the elements. So for a while, and Uranus is still in Taurus, but that is going to shift to Gemini, just kind of retrograded back. Saturn retrograded back into Pisces. So for a good few years, we were in the element of water and earth,
Mm.
which was, stirring up emotions and, what's our foundation like? We need to create a new foundation. And within that time, Pluto was in Capricorn. I think it was from 2016 until 2023. And now we have Pluto in Aquarius, which is a whole different paradigm. So we're shifting gears a lot. And so now the outer planets, and they will be by 2026, they will all be in air and fire. So we're
Mm.
shifting to air and fire, which the air is more social. It's dealing with society. It's dealing with technology. It's dealing with, for in our instance right now, AI. It's dealing with how do we gain knowledge and use that in a way that is for the purpose of the human condition and humanity. Fire is going to propel us forward, give us motivation, give us a new structure in our bodies because fire is the body. And it's Aries because the planets are going to be in Aries, especially Saturn and Neptune. So it's about the warrior within. How do we do that spiritually? Neptune in creativity. How do we embody a new foundation and let go of the old ways that don't work anymore? And fire is how do we burn the illusions that we've all had within ourselves and in society? So that's why I think it's a really important time. And it's important time this eclipse season. I'll
Mm.
stop there if you have any questions. That was a big chunk of energy. Yeah.
Does it matter No, we're talking about, fire here. If that is not your connected to your sign, does it make a difference?
That's a great question. Because we have all those elements in our chart, we have all the archetypes, which I mean the signs, in our chart. They might not be in the houses, but they're on the cusps. The zodiac wheel has 12 pies, 12 little triangles, and those long ends of the triangles are the cusps. So you will have fire somewhere in your chart.
Okay.
It might not be, it might be not enough fire, so you have to pull from someplace else. You might have a lot of fire, or you might have balance. That's why the astrologer, in my case, astrology wellness coaching, my perspective is to look at that. Where is it pronounced? Who's talking? What planet is talking to your fire or your air? And what are the transiting planets? How are they talking? So in a astrology wellness coaching session or a package of sessions, these are the things that we're looking at that are developing right now. I'm more interested in astrology is right now. Yes, I do go into trends and cycles, but I want to know what's unfolding right now. I'm not interested so much in the whole ball of wax to give to somebody because it's very overwhelming. It's beautiful, and there's so many beautiful astrologers out there. It's just the way that I work. Work a little bit more on the everyday purpose of connecting with your soul.
Would you say during this eclipse season, and please refresh us on what we're talking about here in terms of time?
So, if I'm hearing that right, that we had our total lunar eclipse September
Evan?
7th.
Uh-huh.
September 7th, that was a full moon. And I got to tell you, very powerful. It was at 18 degrees in Pisces. And Pisces was that full moon was reminding us with the energy of the eclipse, which is shifting, which is taking what doesn't work and shifting it into either a crisis or a place of insight that you can change because eclipses want you to change. It wants you to shift because the universe,
Mm.
again, the planets don't do anything to us. They guide us into evolving, just as the universe does. Sometimes there's a meteor that I think they explode. I'm not an astronomer. Or there's a falling star, or something is always happening to make space for something else. That to me is an eclipse. So this season, the Pisces was asking us to release, to surrender, to reflect on what it is that we've been keeping suppressed or what we've been keeping hidden in order what we've been keeping hidden so we can allow that to release so we can gain more insight into our spirituality, into artistic and creative endeavors, and how do we connect with the divine, however you call God, goddess, whatever your religion is, but how do you connect with something that gives you faith?
Mm.
So it was a water and Pisces is water. So it was a watery full moon that we had to be really grounded in order to take the waves, so to speak.
Would you say with this eclipse, the full moon, the eclipse season, that it's almost illuminating things that we didn't see? Like I just think of, it's dark out, but that moon, and on September 7th here
Whew.
in the Northeast, it was shining right through my window.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
almost as if it was a spotlight on us, but illuminate from what you're saying, it sounds like it's illuminating things that we need to see and adjust. Would you say
Yeah.
that's kind of what's going on there?
I do, Steve, and I love that. I love the word adjusting. And I was in Martha's Vineyard and I was on the beach.
Mm.
And it was cloudy out, but there it was so magical. There was a spot in all those clouds that opened up for the full moon to come through. And I'll tell you, we were on a beach. The waves were so strong and they were speaking. It was magical, and I really got into the water and to the earth. But like you said, that full moon was shining. Like I feel like this eclipse season, we need to see because we are shifting into a new paradigm. Whenever there are outer planets that are shifting or have shifted into other signs, whether they're retrograding back a degrees or forward, that's always, the adjustment. Um,
Hmm.
Really, it's at 1 degrees. This is a paradigm shift, if you will. And in my perspective, this is a shift of consciousness. And that's why I think it's really important. It's important to ground. It's important to understand what you need as a human being to keep yourself mindful and conscious in times of turmoil or in times of these big waves that can happen. Now, the big waves will happen and we'll feel the peak, but they always reside. That's what we have to um, have grace with, if you will.
What I want us to better understand where we started with self-care. So we established it's important. You got to take care of yourself. And it's an adage that's been around forever before you can really take care of others.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your self-care is. But why now is it even more important to practice it?
Because I think these shifts are incredibly strong. And they're strong not only within ourselves, but they're strong within our society. Our whole collective consciousness is changing and transforming. So it's a very transformative time. And when
Mm.
we are making big shifts, of consciousness, and you can see that in the world, everybody's kind of a little unstable as we bring things up that haven't worked, and we have to find new ways of doing things. That's what makes it important, and that's what makes it even more curious and more healthful to be mindful of self-care. And it can be in your own way. That's getting to know your body, to know your nervous system. I can, for me in this solar eclipse, excuse me, this lunar eclipse, it was about really being grounded and in my body because I could feel the energy pulling out and my nervous system was shaky. So a lot of it is about how do we readjust and attune our nervous system to the energies, to the frequencies.
I'm honestly feeling what you're saying, and I'm feeling that I'm not giving enough to me, and I know why, and I know what's taking my power, and I slowly making tweaks and adjustments there. Even to the point where just booking a little quickie getaway just for myself. I did it back in June. Oh, amazing. Gonna do it again because
Yeah.
I hear like it's calling, like you need to do this. Stop putting it off another day. Stop putting it off another, because maybe, there might not be availability where I was. But I feel it. Like I feel that there's a pull there of personal time and investment like in ourselves as opposed to taking care of everybody else, which essentially is self-care. And a lot of times we feel guilty about self-care. We feel that, we're putting too much effort in us and not taking care of others. To hell with that. As
You
long
know,
as
and
you're responsible, taking care of things
yeah,
you need.
as long as, it's really about the giving and receiving. And I think in times
Mm.
of this personal transformation and collective transformation, and and because this full moon was very yin, and the new moon is going to be very yin too, because it's earth. I think it's about being receptive because yin, which is the female energy, yin quality in all of us, is about being receptive to what we need. And it's okay. I think society maybe has put our stories that like you said, oh, we feel guilty for having self-care, or we
Mm.
shouldn't do this, or we shouldn't do that. And I think those are the things that can personally change during these times of what I call eclipse season as opportunities to grow.
Mm.
It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen positive. Sometimes it happens negative. But when you think about wholeness, we need that to come back to center. So I think it's great that, oh, I want to take a little time to myself. I want to take a little getaway. That's self-care. I mean, it can be so simple. We can't, and the other thing I wanted to say, going through these eclipses, in my opinion and perspective, we don't want to push. It's not like this big thing. Unless big things can happen, but we don't want to push. We want to reflect, we want to pause, and we want to recalibrate. And this morning I did a video for my Instagram, and I said, oh, the eclipses are about repausing. And I said, oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to start the video over again because I made that repausing. I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but I
Hmm.
kept it in there because repausing, what does that mean to repause? I guess I'm going to ask you that question,
I
Steve.
think about that.
Yeah,
Maybe we've paused, but it wasn't effective enough, so we need to do it again.
yeah.
Like check and double check.
Def check and double check. And I think that self-care and I think this whole notion of growth and healing and coming back to wholeness is a continuous journey, until we're not in the physical body anymore, until we are at another, if you believe in another life after this, if those are your beliefs, then we're someplace else, but now we're here. And I think because we have an emotional body, a physical body, a spiritual body, and a mental body, all those four components sometimes work in different paths. And we have to always, like, I love the word adjusting. Now I'm into this word now, repausing. So it's always about that reflecting. And I think that's just part of life that we do until we pass to another.
If you're mindful of it, but many of us are always going
That's
a
right.
million miles a minute and not aware of these little things that are out there or the signs and vibration you get. It's trying to tell you something, but you're not listening, or you let's say there's somebody that's in your life and not really the best for you, but you're afraid to let it go for many different reasons. But deep
Right.
down inside, or it doesn't even have to be that. It could be something, could be a job, could be whatever.
Exactly.
Deep down inside doesn't support you, but you hang on to it. Maybe this is the time to maybe reevaluate it, or take a moment to repause and make some decisions of
Yeah.
adjustment. What else can you tell us during this transit? During eclipse season, things that we should look at, things that we maybe should be doing.
And I think that, and I love what you just said because there's sometimes that, and again, because we're human, because we have a lower version and a higher version, and we're trying so much to get that together. Sometimes it doesn't happen. So I think that the biggest thing is to be kind to yourself, and that's a very hard thing to do.
Mm,
And I think it's about finding opportunities and groups or support that's like-minded, that you can feel supported enough to feel safe to enter these unknown times. Because
mm,
eclipse season is about embracing the unknown.
mm,
They reroute us. So we always have a new moon and a full moon, and that's always happening. But when the eclipse, and I can go further into how that figures, but maybe we will next time, or we'll talk about the north node and the south node. But I think it's a lot to get into right now. But the way the configuration is with these eclipses, it does reroute in a bigger soul purpose way if you get it. Now, I haven't always gotten it during my life. I'm getting it more now hopefully, because this is my work. This is what I've worked towards for so many years.
When
So,
you say get it, how do you refer to that? Understand
yeah,
it?
I love that.
Get the call in your mind, get the message?
Get the message or get it like, like, oh, a light bulb goes off. You get
Yep.
that insight. You
Yep.
get that feeling in your belly, in your solar plexus.
Mm.
And that understanding of I'm okay. It's okay to love myself because when I love myself, people can love me.
Well, we've been hearing that
A
forever.
long time.
Yeah. It's almost to the point where it's like, yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
However, it's true.
Yeah.
Didn't you don't know until you know. And then when you start taking time for yourself, and I'm not talking about, extravagant vacations, massages, nails, no, just a little bit, go for a walk, take a moment from your everyday routine. I actually now feel like I'm gypping myself if I don't spend a little bit of time doing whatever, even in a day. What the other day, I came home. I'm like, all right, I'm getting in my old junky Jeep, which I just love driving. It's just a piece of garbage, but I love it. It's in hospice right now, but I love it. And I put my dog in and I drove to town and I just walked around with him, said hi to people, strangers. I didn't even know him, sat down, had a little meal with him, and that was wonderful. Went home. But I took some
Oh,
time, you
that's
know?
so beautiful. I think you said a really great phrase. You took the time.
Yeah.
So, in your evolution, if you will, in your soul growth, you've come to the conclusion, if I may, that you're worth it.
Took a long time to
It
get
takes
there.
a long time. For some people, it doesn't. For some, but I think in general, it takes a long time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's okay, That's what I'm trying to accept now too. It's like it's okay. Yes, we live in time and space, but in reality, in the big picture, time and space doesn't really matter.
But if you
But
talk
it
to
does.
any therapist, psychologist, the baseline for all of us is we feel we are not worthy. And that goes back to our childhood. That goes back to things we
Trauma.
interpreted right, exactly right. And it could be the littlest thing that made you feel unworthy in some regard. We all have it. That's what I
All of
understand.
us.
It's all in
We,
it. Sometimes it presents a little bit more. Sometimes when you think, I really should have that, man, I'm not worthy. You're not even aware that your mind is doing that. And the other word, and I'm starting to pilot on this word, deserve. We deserve certain things. We deserve to have abundance. We deserve, assuming you're a good person, right? We deserve to have things that we dream about. There's
that we
nothing wrong with
dream
that.
about. I love that you say that. Again, when I was in Martha's Vineyard, we were walking. I was walking with my family down a pier, and there was an older lady, really, she was probably in her 90s, and she was an artist, and she was sitting on the back of her wagon, her car, and she was painting. She had a really old easel.
Hmm.
She also had a lot of physical stuff. She was very hunched over. She could barely walk. She said, she had scoliosis. It was so intense. And she couldn't look up because because she was hunched over. So she'd look up and she said to us, "Can you help me put my easel away?" And we said, "Well, sure. How much time do you, I need like 10 more minutes." So we walked and we walked back. And she was there, and my son helped her put the easel away. And she was amazing. She could be, she'd have to look up because she was hunched over. And then she asked us what we all did. We told her. And then I said, "Well, what do you do?" She said, "Well, I'm an artist and I teach at Harvard. And I teach, drawing to people that want to learn how to draw because everybody does digital now." And so
Hmm.
she teaches hands-on drawing. And she said, "Oh, I just had a hip surgery, and my legs just want to run." She could barely walk. I don't know how she was driving. And she said, "Yeah, I have a new course starting. I know this is long, but I have a new course starting." And she looked up and she said, "I'm dreaming what that's going to be about." And that's the eclipse.
Oof.
That's the most, I know. And I had tears in my eyes. It got me, man.
I
It
got
really got
you.
me.
I
Did
get
you?
it. I get it.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, I could cry now. I was like, oh my God. And then I said to myself, was this woman real? Was she a spirit? Was she just and yeah,
She was there for a reason.
she was there for a reason. And I say this because you said dreaming, and Pisces on its high on its higher, real high level, is about dreaming. It's about
Mhm.
dreaming yourself into who you are on a spiritual level, on an artistic level. Doesn't you have to be an artist? You could just be creative,
We all are.
and we all are.
Everybody, most of us will, I'm not creative. I can't draw. That's not what we're talking about. It's using the mind to create what you want, or you have a challenge, creatively solve an issue or challenge. People write on me, I can't hold a brush. I can't do anything. I bet you can, but put that to the side. I'll bet you won't forget that woman.
Never. I
And,
will never forget her.
and as you're saying it, like I want to be there to help her. Like as
Yeah.
you're saying it, and it brings back a memory of probably 3 years ago. I was in a grocery store as a woman riding a little scooter, and she was having trouble reaching in the frozen food. She opened up the freezer door and she's trying to reach for something. And I sprinted like 40 feet. Okay, what can I help you with? And brought some stuff down. I said, "Do you need any more help?" "No, I don't want to trouble you." "You're not troubling me."
Yeah.
Many of us are afraid to ask for help because we don't realize that it makes the other person feel really good. And I won't forget her. I don't know what it was. There was
You
something
won't.
there, but it was a just a wonderful moment. And it sounds like you had that times 100 with, the surf, the the woman,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
message, the
Yeah.
eclipse, and
Yeah.
all of that. But you know what? You were mindful enough to realize it. You could have been just, yeah, all right, let's throw that easel in the car. Let's keep going. No.
Exactly. And that's what I hope that my work and this podcast and what I do can just um, guide or just create an insight for people to understand that. And I think I know we're probably running out of time. If I could just read what I wrote this morning about the conclusion of our eclipses. So I wrote, self-care during eclipse season isn't about fixing or forcing. It's about listening. Let the cosmos do its work while you stay grounded, curious, and kind to yourself.
Mm.
These are transformative times. Allow your evolution to unfold with grace.
Thank you for that. And
You're
what dropped in my head just now was because you said the word listen, listen to your heart.
Listen to your heart.
It's
Yeah, even if there's stuff there that maybe doesn't feel good, you have some sadness or you have something, it will pass if you listen
Mm.
with support, with guidance, with love.
Yeah. And the universe is supporting you. And that's why we're here talking about taking this time for self-care because it will be more impactful. Thewhisperingsoul.net is how we find you.
That's how I find, yep, that's my website for sure.
Nancy, I really mean this from my heart. It's always a pleasure talking with
Oh,
you. So much insight gains, understanding of this thing called astrology. And that's just the beginning point as you help people holistically through coaching move their life forward. I mean, it's all there. Just
wow.
get it done.
I'm so grateful and like I say, I learn a lot and love talking to you, Steve. You really
Likewise.
you open my insightful being up as well.
It's the way it's supposed to be, I think,
That's
because you're
right.
doing it for me. All right. We'll catch up soon. Thanks again.
You bet. You take care. Have a
You
great
too.
day.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.